All right, we're going to look at hip flexor stretches and progressions from the hip flexor stretch. So the first one and most basic is simply in a lunge position. I'm going to make sure my foot is pointed directly back or even kicked out a little bit this way. If I go this way, it's too easy to open up my hips, then I'm no longer stretching the hip flexors. So I want to make sure my leg is at least straight back. Then I'm going to drive my hips forward without arching my lower back. So I'm just driving the hips forward. I should feel that right on the front of the thigh here, as well as the front of the hip itself. And then I can raise that same arm overhead just to increase the stretch. So that is the very basic first start for the hip flexor stretch. To intensify that, a lot of times we will do a front foot elevated stretch where I can place my foot on a heavy bag or a plyometric box or a step. Anything to elevate my foot, 6 to 12 inches is going to work great. And I'm just going to do the same stretch. So from here, front foot's elevated, make sure I'm not opening my hips. I'm going to drive my hips forward, squeezing my glutes, and keeping a neutral lumbar spine. Raise this arm up, and I'm going to hold that honestly for a minute each side. So a lot of times people tell you hold the stretch 30 seconds, whatever. I like to do a minute simply because for the first 30 seconds, the fascia and muscles wonder what's going on and resist the stretch. So we go a little bit longer. So from there, if I want to emphasize the quads as opposed to the hip flexors, I'm going to do the same stretch but with the back leg elevated on a stability ball. So I'm going to put my foot here. Again, I can start on the ground. Now just by trying to drive my hips forward, I'm really getting a quad stretch lower down as opposed to higher up. And again, I can intensify that here. I'm trying to keep a neutral lumbar spine. And then the final progression would be with the front foot elevated and the back leg up. This one's going to challenge your balance a little bit as well. But yep, same stretch, front foot elevated, back foot on a stability ball, and that is our final progression for the hip flexor stretch.